All right, ready to dive into something interesting. We're tackling the world of security. I've got a stack of info here. Looks like some cool stuff from RoleCatcher.guides, FAQs.uki, even how AI is changing the game for people looking for jobs.
It really is this blend of, those classic security skills and then all this new tech. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, like Sherlock Holmes meets, I don't know, some high-tech security system.
Right, exactly. So role catcher seems to be a big part of this whole thing.
Yeah, they keep popping up. Are they trying to be like the place to go if you're looking for a security job these days?
It seems like it. They're definitely tapping into this need for job seekers to be more proactive, you
Yeah.
know, use all the tools out there. But okay, before we get too deep into that, let's actually answer the basic question. What does a security guard do? I've got your notes right here, all the sources.
Yeah, lay it on me. It's got to be more than just like standing around, right?
Oh yeah, way more. Think of it this way. They're the first line of defense for people, for buildings, for, whatever they're guarding. So constantly being alert, that's a big one. Looking for anything out of the ordinary, controlling who goes in and out, that whole access control thing, and knowing how to use all the security systems, obviously.
Right, because those systems can get pretty complex.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, they've got to be ready for anything, right? Someone
Right.
trying to sneak in, some kind of emergency, you name it.
Okay, so it's high pressure, big responsibility. But the environment can really change things up, can it? I imagine guarding like a bank is way different than a concert or something.
You're telling me. And that's the thing. With this job, you could be anywhere. Office buildings, hospitals, you name it. Malls, outdoor events even, parks, parking lots. Each one has its own curveball.
Right, so one day it's rowdy concert goers, the next it's, what, shoplifters? Or even like protecting some VIP, right? I've seen that in movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're thinking like a security guard already.
Well, I try. Okay, so we've got high stress, tons of responsibility, but then there's this whole tech aspect too. Are we talking futuristic gadgets here?
Oh, we are definitely talking high tech, like straight out of a spy movie.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. Give me some examples.
We'll think facial recognition, like instantly knowing who someone is, just like that. Or drone surveillance covering huge areas. Forget those old grainy security cameras. We're talking high definition AI-powered systems that can, like, track suspicious activity as it's happening. It's pretty wild.
Wow, so it's not just about like having good eyesight anymore. You need actual tech skills to do this job, right?
100%. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This whole tech thing, it's not just about how the work is done. It's about how you actually get the job. Remember RoleCatcher and that AI platform?
They were in all those articles you gave me. How does that even work?
So picture this. You're applying for a security guard position. You upload your resume to RoleCatcher, and their AI goes to work. We're talking analyzing hundreds of job postings in seconds. It's looking for keywords, the skills that employers really want, and then it tells you, hey, you should highlight this experience. Or might even suggest totally different words to use so your resume actually gets noticed. It's like having a secret weapon.
So it's like instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping your resume gets seen, you've got this AI giving you a boost.
Right. It's like leveling the playing field, especially if you're not, a tech whiz yourself. But it gets even weirder.
Right.
Because they also use AI to help you prep for the interview.
Wait, seriously? Is it like a robot firing questions at you?
Not quite that sci-fi, but close. Basically, it takes all these common interview questions they've gathered for security roles and helps you come up with good answers, so you're not caught off guard. It's all about anticipating what they're going to ask and being ready.
Wow, like having a little interview coach in your pocket?
Yeah. And get this, it can even analyze your delivery. Like, are you making eye contact? Is your tone of voice right? Because that stuff matters in an interview.
Huge. Okay, so let's say someone aces that interview. Maybe they use RoleCatcher, maybe not, but they got the job. What's next? What's the actual career path look like in security?
Right. So that's where you've got your more traditional career ladder, but with some twists.
Yeah.
You usually start as an entry-level security guard. Makes sense.
Okay, day one on the job. What's that like? Give me a picture.
So you're learning the ropes, getting to know the site, whether that's a building or an event or whatever. You're probably monitoring your assigned area, controlling who comes and goes, checking IDs, maybe operating those security checkpoints. You'll be using those high-tech systems we talked about, writing up reports if anything happens. It's about being those eyes and ears,
Yeah, like we were saying before, observation is key. But I'm guessing you don't stay entry level forever, right? How do you climb that ladder?
All right, so that's where you move up to junior security guard.
Yeah.
This is where you're not just monitoring, you're actually responding to things. Alarms are going off, there's an incident, you're the one who has to step in. Maybe even work with the police, depending on what's happening.
Okay, so way more pressure. You got to think on your feet.
Exactly. And this is where all those extra certifications they mentioned in those articles, they really come into play. Like you could get training in crisis management, advanced security stuff, even more specialized skills, like risk assessment.
Risk assessment, that sounds kind of next level. What does that even mean?
So instead of just reacting when something happens, risk assessment is all about like predicting problems before they happen,
Yeah.
being proactive. So you might be looking at the layout of a building and spotting weak points. Maybe you're analyzing the risk of theft or vandalism, and then you come up with ways to prevent it.
So you're like, what? A security detective? That's actually really cool. And I bet having that on your resume makes you stand out.
Oh, for sure. It shows employers you're not just there to punch in and out. You're actually thinking about how to make things safer, more secure. You're thinking ahead. And that's a big part of what separates those junior guards from the senior security guards.
Right. Makes sense. So you've been doing this a while. You've got those extra certifications. Now you're the senior security guard. What's different? What are you doing day to day?
It becomes less about like patrolling and more about strategy and planning.
Hmm.
Like you might be the one coming up with a whole security game plan for the entire place, supervising other guards, conducting those risk assessments we were talking about.
So more of a leadership role.
Exactly. And if you're ambitious, you keep going up that ladder. You could become a security supervisor, even a security manager. Now you're overseeing teams of guards. You might be managing budgets, doing audits, making sure everything's up to code. It's a whole other world.
Wow, you really can move up in this field. From guarding the door to what? Basically being in charge of security for an entire company.
Right. And that's where the chief security officer comes in, the CSO. They're at the top calling all the shots for security for the whole organization. We're talking about everything from hackers and cyber attacks to making sure the physical building is safe and being ready for any kind of emergency. It's a big deal.
So you could start out guarding a building and end up, what, the person in charge of protecting the whole company. That's a wild career path.
It is. And, that's something they emphasized a lot in those guides, that potential for growth, for finding your own niche. I mean, you could start as a security guard, right? And then maybe you get into cybersecurity, or you become like a bodyguard for someone famous.
Yeah, I've seen those guys in the movies.
Right.
Intense.
Right. Or even specialize in a certain industry. Like what's security like in a hospital? Totally different than a bank, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So many options.
Exactly. You can really find your thing. That's what's exciting about it.
I like it. Okay, so for anyone listening who's thinking, hey, maybe security is for me, what's the one big takeaway from all this?
Honestly, it's more than just being, physically tough or even just knowing how to work the tech. It's this mix of everything, what they call hard skills and soft skills. You got to be able to talk to people, make good judgment calls under pressure.
Right, because if you think about it, a lot of those situations, it's about de-escalating things, not escalating them.
100%. And as tech gets even more advanced, that human element is going to be even more important.
So it's not just finding any security job, it's understanding what you're working towards. Like this could be a whole career, not just a job.
And that's what those levels show you, right?
Yeah.
Like you can really build something in this field.
Love that. And hey, if you're serious about this stuff, check out those RoleCatcher guides we mentioned. Seriously, some good insights in there.
Definitely worth a look.
All right, folks, that's it for today's deep dive. Until next time, stay curious out there.